Hello everyone, Aiden Studios here, and it's that time of the season again where I decide to make a tier list. Now, I'll be doing this like how I did the last tier list, so it's actually already done, but what I'm going to do is I'll talk about some of my decisions on where I've put each card. Um, as you can see, I think the meta has definitely shifted a bit since my last tier list, which would have been about a couple months ago, because of the random ass season where there was just no meta and it was Mega Draft the whole time, and so I decided to skip the tier list for that month and make one here. Now, we'll start off with the S tier cards. These ones are basically busted and probably need some kind of rework nerf at some point soon. We got the four champions: Mighty Miner, Archer Queen, Monk, Skeleton King. Each of these champions provide the free card cycle, which is incredibly useful on offense and defense. Um, yeah, and also the abilities as well are really broken. Graveyard, I think, is probably one of the best, if not the best, win condition in the game right now because of its RNG, unpredictable damage. Like, you could have a poison and it would still probably get like 200, 300 damage if you're unlucky. Um, Goblins better than skeletons right now. If you're running a cycle deck, I'd probably suggest goblins because they're way better on defense against like tanks, mini tanks, things such as like mini P.E.K.K.A. that they can't get zapped away. Poison I think's a bit better than Fireball in a lot of decks, such as Minor Poison, Graveyard. All those sorts of defensive decks are getting really popular. The log is the best small spell. It will always be the best small spell in any sort of case. Okay, A tier. These are not necessarily broken cards, but certainly some of the better ones of the bunch. Got win conditions here, such as Mortar and the Miner. I think Miner, even with the Crown Tower damage nerf, is still unbelievably strong, and will remain strong because it is a free elixir mini tank that you can put anywhere on the map. You can tank for anything really. It's used in many decks, even where it is the win condition itself. Fireball, yeah, even though it's not quite as good as I'd say as Poison, still really strong, where you need that instant damage instead of an overtimed bit. Poison's probably more defensive, but I'd say Fireball, if you want that instant damage, go for that. Bomb Tower is really strong. I find it better than Cannon right now to use. For one extra elixir, it's way more defensive, more health. You get the Death Bomb as well. Goblin Hut, even though it would have been down here, D and F probably. Goblin Hut is now actually in A tier because of how annoying it is. Ever since, well, first they reworked it so it spawns 3 at a time, but now the Spear Goblin buff with the range made it way more annoying. So instead of 5 tiles, I think it's like 5.5 tiles, and that slight change has made it way more annoying, I'd say. Barbarian Barrel, arrows, generally good small spells. Tornado, always gonna pretty much be in this sort of range here. Magic Archer, really annoying card. Valkyrie, if you don't have a champion, it can be a really good substitute. Phoenix, probably like one of the best air cards in the game. Way better than it's basically replaced all decks that had a baby dragon in it. Golden Knight I don't think is quite S tier, but it's still incredibly good in things such as E-Giant and all that. Think decks that run a tornado. You still want to use it there. Electric Spirit, yeah, and Skeletons. Spear Goblins as well, same sort of reason as the Goblin Hut. Dark Goblin, Wall Breakers pair with the Miner pretty well. Cheapest win condition, really strong. Okay, let's move down to the B tier. B2 is middle of the road. Not necessarily strongest, but they're pretty solid for what they are. Rascals got a rework recently where they split up, and the girls have a slightly faster attack speed. I think that's definitely saved them from being C or potentially even D tier. I'm not putting them any higher because there are tons and tons of counters. They may be good on defense and that if the opponent doesn't have a response, But if they do, like many cards on defense counter, many cards on offense can counter them. The girls. Um, I decided to put Cage down here as well as the Cannon and Inferno Tower. I don't think they're quite as good as things such as the Bomb Tower or the Tombstone. Um, Inferno Tower is more expensive, so if you're going to use it in a cycle deck, it's probably not going to be as effective against certain matchups. Cannon is really cheap, and if you want that quicker cycle, I'd suggest a Cannon. Tesla is okay. I mean, you see it in Expo and that, but I think it should probably. I've not seen it in too many decks, but I think it's still solid. E-Giants down here is not necessarily the strongest of win conditions, but I think right now it's in a solid spot. Same with the Goblin Drill, same with the Lava Hound, same with the Hog Rider. Hog Rider is always gonna be. Hog Rider is never bad. It's always viable. Um, Hogs I put in B because of like Fireball and the poisons and that. And all the splash cards that you can get to counter it, Bomb Tower and that. Mother Witch B, yeah, I put quite a few legendaries in B tier. I think that's generally where they belong. Musketeer, always solid card. Sparky, because the Rocket isn't doing too good. I think Sparky's becoming a better card to use. Dark Prince Guards, yep, all solid cards here, nothing really. Archers, well, Archers were once probably S because of their really quick attack speed, but now I'd say with the rise of arrows and also the nerf that they got to their first hit speed, they're not quite as good, but they're still viable, I'd say. Earthquake, you can never really go wrong with it. It's pretty good on offense with certain cards such as the Hog and Royal Hogs. It's really solid against buildings. It hard counters Alexa Pump each time. Okay, I'd say let's move on to C. C is just meh. C is average. You could probably use it and have decent success, but they're not versatile, or they're just not the best in general. Zap, I think, is one of the worst small spells because it doesn't kill loggable troops, as well as it just doesn't have that area denial that the log or the arrows have, that big radius. I just don't like using it. In certain decks you probably use it and have more success than arrows or log, but to be honest I think it's completely up to you. Skeleton Army, I mean, if the opponent has literally nothing, then it's probably the best card in the whole match, but chances are 9.5 out of 10 times they're going to have something. I mean, I don't see why no one would. Alexa Pump, I put it down here, but Alexa Pump's an interesting wild card because it's very rock, paper, scissors. If the opponent has no counter, then you pretty much win. If the opponent has a counter, then you lose, such as the Earthquake or, you know, I don't know. It's only used in pretty much Three Musketeers, Golem, and it does decent, I'd say. Mega Minion not as good as the Phoenix, but you could probably consider using it as a sub if you want. Maybe if you don't have the Phoenix, it's not too bad of a card. It's just that the Phoenix is so damn strong. There's no point in using the Mega Minion. Skeleton Dragons not really that good. Only really using Hound, but even then you don't have to use them. Prince is okay. Mega Knight, Lumberjack, and these, yeah, they're not great, but in the decks that they're in, such as maybe Mega Knight Wallbreakers or Lumberloon, well, Lumberloon's not even that popular now anyways, which is why the balloon's here. Golem, or maybe Giant Double Prince, you could probably use it and have some success. Bait's not too good either, so I put the Goblin Barrel and Princess down here. Rage, I'd put it with the Lumberjack, because I think it suffers a few of the same problems, but you can use it. I've seen decks use it, you can. There was a bridge spam deck I saw the other day that had Monk in it, and Ram Rider, which had the Rage and the Lumberjack in, so you could do that. Goblin Giant, I think, is still pretty weak. You could probably give it another buff. The Spear Goblin buff didn't really do too much to it, because all of the cards that have Spear Goblins in got the same buff, and even the Goblin Giant did. Still not the greatest. Skeleton Barrel, not great. Expo, it's not the worst, but it's pretty hard to use. Barbarians, you don't have to really use it, like in Hound. You can use, like, Tombstone would probably be a better ground option. Royal Recruits are not bad, but they're just not versatile in the slightest. Ice Wizard, not that good, pretty weak, dies to fireball, poison, anything really. Um, okay, and anything else I could talk about? Yeah, Battle Ram and using Bridge Spam, Giant, not the best. I mean, it's only using like Giant Double Prince, Giant Sparky, um, Giant Graveyard, which isn't even that good, mind you. I'd say Giant Graveyard's not the best at all because there's loads of poisons going around for the graveyard, and also yeah, I'd just say, and also Mother Witch as well increasingly. But Graveyard is still really, really strong despite this. But I wouldn't use Giant Graveyard. Alright, let's quickly talk about the D tier. These are cards that are not that good. Maybe a surprise factor, you could probably use it and win. Minion Horde, not great. Never really been great. Mirror, again, a wild card. Sometimes it could really be the MVP, but other times it's not. Ice Golem, not that good. And I would put it in F, except it's a card and you can use it to help you defend. Like, you can use it, but I just wouldn't. There's no point in using it. Barbarian Hut, probably put it in F. In fact, I might just move it to F. It's terrible. Worst spawner in the game. No point in using it. Rocket, D, because of the Crown Tower damage nerf. There's just no point in using it. Also, there are way better alternatives. Like, I've seen Logbait. The few people that run it run Lightning instead. That's how bad it is. But despite that, there are a couple decks that run it. Wizard, never mid-ladder bums use it. Three Musketeers. Plenty of counters in the meta. Furnace, I'll probably say second worst spawner above Barbarian Hut, because it can sometimes be annoying, but generally most of the time you're going to have counters for it. Witch, not that good really, mainly used in mid-ladder decks, but even then it's not great, because, like, for example, Poison just destroys her, Poison Log. F, these are the cards you never use, just never use them, never touch them. Clone, never use it at all, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, there's just so many cards up here that can that can counter it. It's ridiculous. Just don't, yeah, not right now anyways. Alexa Golem Battle Healer, just trash. Only Battle Healers only use an Alexa Golem. Alexa Golem's only used with the Battle Healer. Occasionally you might see it become popular. Like, for example, the beginning of the Monk Phoenix thing, you'd see a bunch of decks run the Phoenix and Monk. And that's probably one of the few times Alexa Golem's been good, other than non-release. And, well, like, the recently moved Barbarian Hut. Probably, I'd say, the worst card in the game, because at least that is a win condition that you can use. At least that can complement your win condition. At least that can complement a win condition. This does nothing. There's no point in using it. These are just event cards I've left out, because the original person put it in the tier list anyway. Okay. Let me just download that. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe. I tried to make this a bit quicker than the other tier lists. If you want to find out why I put certain cards in certain spots, then just leave a comment down below. Yep, like and subscribe. Comment if you want. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.